Going on?
Hey, Mr. Blankenship, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. You know, one thing I missed about the Midwest is the change of seasons. Tell
Oh
me,
yeah.
has the leaves changed yet?
No, it's actually still really hot. It's actually 87 today, which is kind of abnormal. But the weather's still good. So it's good. I complain it's hot already, but like I'll be wanting this like weather in like 3 months. So like it's good. I'll take what I can get.
A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Patrick Birdsong in Austin,
Oh yeah.
and he was like saying it's like I don't know, it's like 102 degrees. I
Yeah, it's
live in
too
the Bay
much.
Area. That's crazy hot for me. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, that 103 and humid would be awful.
Exactly. Well, hey, it's an honor to be talking to Mr. Top 30 under 30. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. So maybe you can kind of give like my followers just a little kind of background how you ended up in Chicago.
Yeah, so I'm actually born and raised here. So I've lived in the Chicagoland area my whole life, Chicago suburbs specifically. I grew up in a town called Glen Ellen, which is about 40 minutes west of the best city in the world, aka Chicago. Just outside Naperville, it's kind of like the big hub that a lot of people know. But right after I graduated college, I actually moved to California. And I actually started with my real estate license over there. And then COVID hit California really hard, and I ended up moving back to the Chicago suburbs. Saw a lot of people, my friends and family, start buying and selling houses, and I kind of just want to be that guy. And then now I'm here, fast forward like 4 years.
Well, you're clearly doing something right. So congratulations to you. Now,
Thank you.
I mentioned that you were basically top 30 under 30 by NAR. And
Yep.
I don't think people realize how much of an honor that actually is. I mean, how many people actually apply to do that?
Yeah, so I think about 300 to 400 agents apply to it every single year. But the big thing is it's like if you were back in high school and you were trying to, fill out applications for college and you were trying to get like in those big colleges that you wanted to go to and everything like that. It's like that, basically. Just more of like sharing, three things that I look at typically is like production, building community, and just uniqueness. So it's a cool experience for sure. Super grateful for it. It's been one of those things that's been on my real estate bucket list ever since I started in the business, and just super grateful and super excited to see 30 to 30 of my class as well as alumni in about 2 weeks.
That's awesome. And talk about bucket lists. I mean, beyond that, you were also on the main stage at Mega Camp, and we're going to go over this too. But
Yeah,
you had an opportunity to be on the main stage, and now this isn't anything against Gary Keller, but you were on the main stage with Ken Pozak. So in certain
yeah.
circles, that means more, right?
Yeah, totally. Super cool. Ken's a great guy. Definitely been a great influence and mentor in my business. So he's all around good dude.
For sure. Well, I actually was fortunate enough to have him come and talk with me last week, and
Very
he
cool.
he is truly just an awesome guy.
100%.
So, all right, let's kind of move and talk about your area expertise. So maybe you can break down some of the areas that you focus on.
Yeah, so the Chicagoland area is huge. There's also a lot of licensed realtors in
Well,
Illinois, but I would
Brandon,
say,
before you go on, tell me, what does Chicagoland mean? I've seen that phrase like,
yeah,
because I try to do research on all you guys that come and talk with me. What is Chicagoland?
yeah, Chicagoland. It's so interesting. So Chicagoland and kind of like where I was segueing, like Illinois is pretty big and it's really rural and dense in a lot of parts when you're out of Chicagoland. But Chicagoland to me is really just considered like city Chicago, and probably I want to say like 60 miles like west, 60 miles northwest, southwest, pretty much just along that ballpark. Yeah, and then pretty much outside of that, like, you know, you have Champaign, which is where University of Illinois is. You have DeKalb, where the school I went to college to. Um, like Illinois is very rural, and people don't realize it because people only like look at Chicago. But the areas that I service, the Chicago suburbs and the city of Chicago are truly two different markets, in my opinion. There's a lot of agents that do both, but in my opinion, is that you can't really be great at both. Like it's there are people that are, but it's really rare. And I really just specialize in the Chicago suburbs and specifically the western Chicago suburbs. So pretty much anywhere from east to Oak Park, I would say, as all the way to west to St. Charles, Geneva is kind of like my bread and butter for sure.
Got it. And so a lot of my clients, and you probably know this, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's pretty darn expensive to live here.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are kind of looking at other areas just to kind of,
Yeah.
kind of try to balance that work life, right?
Mhm.
And maybe you can kind of tell us like what is the biggest demographic of people migrating over to Chicago suburbs?
Yeah, honestly, it's I do a lot of relocation, and it's always interesting when I get that question or ask them the question where they're coming from and why. A lot of people honestly are moving here because they miss home, right? The Chicagoland area is awesome. The food scene is great. We have great infrastructure. You know, unlike Texas, if it snows there in a day and the whole city shuts down or the whole state shuts down, here, like, you know, people are moving out and about when it's -10 and there's 20 inches of snow. Like, people, like, it's built different out here. And not saying that happens all the time, but like, it gets pretty cold and it snows a ton here. But, you know, it's the day moves on. Um, the biggest thing and the people that I get moving here is like I said, is like people that are originally from the area coming back home kind of thing. And a lot of times people are looking for great schools, so family is moving. I actually have a family from the LA County area looking to make a move here just for schools and stuff, and they want the Midwest specifically. They've done a lot of research, and I had a conversation with a client that they were looking at Indiana as well, and they were so surprised that the public high school was so competitive because there was only one, and then there's, you know, in Naperville alone, there's like five different public high schools, and they're all like rated an A plus. So with families looking to make a move here, there's like a ton of that over here, and then also like job relocation. There's a great job market here. We have a big metropolitan city, and when you look at like, you know, a Chicago, LA, Miami, or New York, even a San Francisco, Chicago is definitely on the much more affordable end. And you know, people build great careers here for sure. So that's really kind of like the demographic that I personally see when it comes to relocation into the Chicago suburbs.
Awesome, awesome. And so like I mentioned earlier, so I sell in San Mateo County, which is
Yep.
basically the suburbs of San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And our
Yep.
median sales price, it's over $2 million these days.
Uh,
So tell me, if someone was to sell their house now here, what would they be able to buy in the Chicago suburbs?
what does a $2 million house look like in San Mateo?
Exact. Well, in San Mateo, it gets you maybe 3 bedroom, 2 bath, probably 1,900 square feet on a 5,000 square feet lot. Location would be great, but size isn't much.
Yeah, so a $2 million house, location specific, but like if you were looking like in a town that I live in, you know, upper class kind of neighborhood, or just great location with a downtown area, train line to get to the city of Chicago, amenities, built out area. A $2 million house here gets you probably like five five bedroom above living. You got like one or two bedrooms in the basement, four full bathrooms, open floor plan, probably like 3,500 to 4,000 square feet above grade, and like another 1,500 below, with like a quarter to a half an acre, and pretty modern. So that's what you're getting here. That 1,900 square foot, three bed, two bath house, um, location specific as well as, modernist and stuff like that. But you're going to find affordable from 300 to 400K, and then you can find homes just like that you described in like the 600 to 700K range for sure.
What you're telling me is your money goes a lot farther,
100%,
right?
totally, 100%.
Yeah. So that's usually the demographic that's moving out right now. For me, at
Yep,
least, my clients bought here and they just need more space, right? Whether they just got married, have kids, whatever it is, they just need more space. So that's
yep,
typically the clientele that's moving out of here. So cool.
awesome.
Well, let's kind of change gears a little bit, and I hope you're cool. I want to ask a
Yeah,
little bit about your business because,
yeah,
man,
100%.
under 30, you got to figure it out, man. I wish I was you.
Trying to. It's a work in progress.
So you were on the main stage speaking to Ken,
Yeah,
and what I've learned from Ken is like one of the things that like we're as agents, we're all trying to figure this out, right?
for
And one
sure.
of the things that Ken had mentioned was really just kind of from a social media perspective, kind of just focus on one platform,
Mhm,
do it well, then branch out later on. What
mhm.
platform did you start out with?
Yeah, so social media was just kinda always fun with me. I feel like, for just like the average just kinda like the average social media user, like if you just kinda like use it to like, just post stuff and whatever kind of thing, staying in one lane and focusing on that's the best. For me, I've kind of like grown up in the social media age, and I've like ever since like growing up, I've always like messed around on social media and try to create content and stuff like that. So I was kind of always just like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook was like my three-headed monster kind of thing. For me, like the best results that I personally get is Instagram. Instagram has just been a great platform. My big part of my business is still working with my sphere of influence and the people that are from around here and stuff like that. So I have a really good sphere of influence business, and I find that like my ideal client and the people in my sphere are mostly on Instagram.
Okay. Now, the other thing about you is that you're actually in the MREA playbook. So,
Hmm.
Jason Abrams, I'm sure, interviewed you, kind of get a lowdown on
Hmm.
your business. Let me kind of
Yeah.
read you kind of the 6 steps that was in that book. So, number one, get local. Two,
Hmm.
create your Insta brand.
Hmm.
Three, great leaders start as great followers. Four, start social farming. Five, post. And six, start an email list. These steps got you 40,000 followers on IG. How long did it take you to get to that point?
Yeah, great question, Bert. So I've had that Instagram page, live in Chicago suburbs, for over a year now, almost 2 years in January, kind of thing. But it didn't have, it wasn't like an overnight like success in terms of like it took a month and it's where it is now. Um, I was always trying to crack the code, and I was looking because I had talked to a few colleagues of mine about 2 weeks ago, and I kind of looked at where I really, took control and started like really just like focus on the content I was creating and just focusing in on reels. It was like October 13th of last year. I had a decent following from just like the search engine optimization standpoint of my page. And I was just posting a lot more static posts. And I think I had like 2,000 followers on there, but nothing crazy. And I started posting reels and started really gaining traction. And I remember like a few reels really started to blow up. And I think it went from like 2,000 to like 17,000 to the beginning of this year. And then from the beginning of this year at like 20,000, I started like January, I think 20,000 because my virtual assistant tracks it month over month growth. And I think we're just over 57,000 right now. So we've gained 40,000 followers this year alone.
Man, that's
Yeah,
just
it's crazy.
snowballing, right?
Yeah, it's crazy for sure.
Well, for someone like an agent just starting out, I mean,
Mhm.
what are some tips that you would say to like get from 2,000 to 60,000 in 5 months?
Yeah, no, I think when you chunk it like that, Bird, I think when you look at create a brand, I think the big thing is that fame is the most efficient business model. And what does fame mean? Fame means that you have a slogan that whenever you say it, people know what it means or they know who it relates to, or it's building a great just brand in the area that you live. It's not being famous like a Michael Jordan or anything like that, but if you have the Michael Jordan effect in your community, that can go a long, long way. So like the big thing for me was just like, how do I go from 0 to 1,000, 0 to 10,000? Because after, in my opinion, after 10,000, it's pretty easy because then you have that social proof where when people see your page, they say, "Oh, he has 10,000 followers, we can follow him." It's not like, "Oh, he has 10 followers, like he might not be here tomorrow," kind of thing, right? So
Right.
like the biggest advice I typically give agents is like, you know, don't think too hard. It's going to get better. It's all about the reps. Figure out the content that works for you and what you enjoy creating and what you enjoy posting about it. Once it starts seeing success, start like start going double down on that. And the biggest thing with it as well is that I talk about social farming in the playbook. The easiest way to kind of like grow the following is like follow the local businesses, restaurants, just everything in the area. So if I was following a local coffee shop, I'd follow the local coffee shops, and I get very niched. I only post about the areas I personally want to work and sell, how people buy and sell real estate and invest in. Obviously, I'd go a little farther and everything like that. Um, but I'm not following the Starbucks. I'm following the local coffee shop in my downtown area, and I'm understanding that the people that personally follow that page or they follow live in the area, right? So
Right.
when you're posting content and you have a nice feed and you get your content down and you're just being social on social media and you're interacting, following people from their followers, you start to build a following and Instagram sees that you're growing and then they push you out to the algorithm.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm gonna make sure to do that for all my followers. I'm definitely gonna be tagging Brandon, so you'll know exactly where to find him. So if you're thinking about relocating, click on his tag, reach out to him, wealth of knowledge. Now, want to finish up because the way I finish up with my chats is I'll
Mhm.
ask a little bit about your personal life.
Yeah.
Um, so I know you're a huge foodie. You mentioned that on
Yep.
your social media. So if you had one last meal, tell me about that.
Yeah. One last meal would definitely, um, one last meal for sure would be Portillo's. It's a Chicago, restaurant, American restaurant kind of thing. It would be an Italian beef dipped in mozzarella with mozzarella cheese on top, with a large cheese fry and a strawberry shake from Portillo's.
Ah, making me
That'd be my
hungry.
last meal. It's the best thing in the world.
Hey, it's lunchtime for me right now. I got to go get something to eat. Well, Brandon, hey, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. And I have a feeling we're going to be in touch.
Of course. Thanks, Bert. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Take care, Brandon.